organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, burning questions. See what Iowa City officials are doing to keep you safe in local bars and restaurants.
And more winter weather on the way. I'll have that in your 5-day weather forecast.
And in sports, Hoops Talk. Courtside is on the way.
All that and much more is coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for tuning into your Sunday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Anna Theodosis.
And I'm Nick Robertson.
A recent nightclub fire in Brazil killed hundreds of people, but officials from Iowa City say they are doing what they can to keep patrons safe locally. Daily Iowan TV's Allie Wright found out how safe eating and drinking establishments in town actually are.
These people went to a nightclub for fun, but some of them didn't make it out alive. This is a video of a fire at Station Nightclub in Rhode Island in 2003. As the crowd watched a concert, a pyrotechnics display became out of control. People rushed to the exits, but within only a few minutes, the entire building was engulfed in flames. More than 100 people died in this fire, and more than 230 people died in a more recent fire at the Kiss nightclub in Brazil in January. Both of these accidents had one thing in common. Neither of these nightclubs had sprinkler systems implemented at the time of the accidents. But Iowa City officials are working to make sure that doesn't happen locally. Right now, 22 local bars and restaurants have sprinkler systems or are permitted to install them, but 19 establishments do not currently have sprinkler systems. The Airliner, Pancheros, and Quinton's Bar and Deli in Iowa City must install sprinklers by July 1st of this year. 46 A2 and B establishments in Iowa City are required to update their sprinkler systems and fire alarms by July 2013. Now, A2 and B establishments are meant to hold a large amount of people and also have liquor licenses, but 16 of these businesses do not have to follow this code until they get a new owner. This ordinance also set up new deadlines for different businesses depending on the size of the occupancy level they have and how many levels they have that are above or below ground. Despite the current lack of the sprinkler system, the airliner's manager said patrons are still safe.
I think that just by the amount of employees that we'd have on say, a busy night, that if something were to happen, you could look left or right and have someone to ask a question very quickly, and they could help you. If it was an exit or you needed to use a restroom or any type of emergency, you'd be aided very quickly.
The Iowa City Fire Department is also doing what they can to make sure bar owners make their establishments as safe as possible. After the Station nightclub fire in Rhode Island, the department evaluated the environment in downtown Iowa City and implemented changes to increase safety.
Overcrowding is a big thing that we focus on. Luckily, it hasn't been an issue too much for us. I think that our presence and the presence of the police department in the community has certainly helped with that.
Despite the City Council's ordinance and the efforts of the fire department, patrons are encouraged to take their safety into their own hands, just as one student says she already does.
I always look for exits, and I think if it gets too crowded, I usually tend to leave because if there were to be something, I don't feel that people would be able to get out safely.
Allie Wright, Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks for that, Allie. The city also supplied loans and grants for several businesses to help with the cost of implementing sprinkler systems.
You'll be seeing some new faces on the State Board of Regents beginning May 1st. Governor Terry Branstad on Friday appointed 2 new members to the board. Branstad appointed Robert Kramer and Subhash Sahi to fill the positions of resigning regents. A familiar face holding on to his position will be Regent President Craig Lang.
Iowa City may not be the warmest town, but officials are doing their best to make sure residents don't find snow in their shoes. Downtown Iowa City is putting a larger effort towards clearing snow from sidewalks. The city's snow removal forces are teaming up with local landscaping company Quality Care and the Hawkeye Construction Company on the effort. The downtown district spent $15,000 for snow clearing. The city has already received positive feedback from business owners and residents.
And still to come on Daily Iowan TV, Laughing Out Loud. See what popular comedian is coming to Iowa City to give students a laugh.
And in sports, catch up on all the weekend action in Iowa basketball.
But since we're talking about shoveling snow, we go to Megan Tickner, who has our weather forecast, and it looks like we have some more snow in the future.
Thanks, Nick. We will definitely be seeing some more snow coming our way. After a beautiful Sunday, the sun will go down and the snow will begin. Expect snow accumulations to be anywhere from 4 to 10 inches throughout the evening and into Monday. Iowa City will officially be under a winter storm watch starting at 6 a.m. Monday morning with temps in the mid-30s. By the afternoon, the snow will still be going strong with a high of 36 degrees, and by nightfall, the temp will drop down to 30 degrees with snow still coming down. Taking a look at the rest of the week, the snow will continue to fall into Tuesday with temperatures staying in the high 30s. On Wednesday, we'll get a break from the snow and have a high of 36. Thursday, the fog will roll in with a high of 41 degrees. On Friday, the temps will rise up to almost 50 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And on Saturday, the snow might make yet another appearance with a 20% chance and temperatures in the low 40s. Well, that's all I have for your weather update. Nick and Anna, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Megan. One of the University of Iowa's most prized pieces of art is undergoing a conservation project. Jackson Pollock's mural is valued at around $140 million. It had previously been held in the University of Iowa Memorial Union until the 2008 flood. It is now being held by the Getty Institute for the 2-year conservation project. This is the same mural state legislators tried to sell for a scholarship fund in 2011.
And we have good news for comedy fans in Iowa City. UI Campus Board of Activities announced Aziz Ansari will be performing at the IMU on May 10th. Ansari stars in the popular TV show Parks and Rec, but made his name on the comedy stage. You can pick up your tickets at either the Englert or IMU ticket office starting Monday.
And now let's take a look at what happened around the world over your weekend. A Florida family lost a family member when a sinkhole opened up in a man's home. On Friday, Jeff Bush was laying in bed when the sinkhole opened in his room, pulling him in. The only thing left in the room was the TV cable that ran into the hole. Bush was presumed dead by authorities shortly after.
Some New Orleans residents woke up with dry sinks on Sunday. The electricity plant that supplies power to the city's water treatment plant malfunctioned. The outage lasted 20 minutes. This is the second major outage related to the city. If you remember, the power went out during the Super Bowl in February.
And Nick, with the college basketball championship season upon us, a lot of questions about where Iowa men's and women's basketball teams will end up at the end of the season.
That's right, Anna, but luckily we have Cody Goodwin and the rest of our courtside crew to give us the lowdown about everything on the hardwood. Take it away, Cody.
Good evening, folks. I'm Cody Goodwin, flying solo tonight on our weekly Hawkeye Hoops review show, Courtside, touching on everything black and gold. Same teams, different results for Bluter's Bunch and Fran McCaffrey squad during our programming break. Behind 22 points off the bench from sophomore sharpshooter Melissa Dixon, the Lady Hawks climbed out of a 22-point deficit to beat Indiana 75-70. Dixon not the only one getting the job done for the black and gold on senior day. Seniors Morgan Johnson and Jamie Prinny scored 17 and 14 respectively to silence the visitors from Bloomington while improving their chance to dance in the NCAA tournament just a few short weeks away. And with the win, the Hawks improved to 18 and 11 on the year, and for senior Jamie Prinny, the next step in her life is fast approaching. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Allie Raisley sat down with the All-Big Ten point guard to find out what's next.
The UI senior Jamie Printy has always been a basketball star. From a travel team to a Big Ten team, she has excelled.
I grew up playing AAU basketball all through elementary, middle school, and high school, and then I went to Linn-Mar High School and played there as well.
Basketball came easy to Printy. However, the decision on school did not. Switching her majors her sophomore year, she landed on recreation and sports business.
That major allowed me to stay around sports and also in the business aspect, which is what I liked.
Being around what she likes here at Iowa is helping her shape her future. Even though her decision isn't final, she's on the road to figuring it out.
I'm not really sure what I want to do yet. I need to decide if I want to try to keep playing basketball or just try to get a job somewhere in college athletics.
So how does one leader of the Hawkeye Pack make sport her business on and off the court?
You just have to be really organized and We take a lot of our studies on the road.
On the road or in the classroom, Printy has it handled. Allie Raisley, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
And while the women's team grabbed a huge victory over Indiana, the men's team suffered a big-time blow against Indiana as well. The Hawks dropped their 9th conference game, falling to Indiana in Bloomington 73-60. Fran's bunch overmatched early, struggling to handle the firepower of the nation's #1 squad. The black and gold did manage to make things interesting for the country's top-ranked team in the second half, however, clawing back from 18 down to make the game respectable. But turnovers is the story in this game, folks. The Hawks struggled without their injured starting point guard Mike Gasell, coughing up the rock 18 times in the loss, something our full-court press crew has all over. Boys?
Thanks for committing another turnover, Cody, and giving it to us here in the Daily Iowan Print Sports Cubicle. Ben Ross, Ian Martin, as we're ready for another edition of the Full Court Press. Ben, Iowa went 1-1 this week, lost at #1 Indiana on Saturday night. Turnovers especially, 18 of them, killed the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, they just couldn't get anything going offensively in the first half. The second half was a little bit better. The score was 46-45 in the Indiana Hoosiers' favor, so Iowa kept it pretty close. But they just couldn't get anything going from their bench, only 12 bench points. That's usually something that Iowa relies on to win games.
Well, and some bench players had to play a lot of prominent minutes because Mike Gasell out probably until the Big Ten tournament, and it was clear that they needed his presence on the floor.
Yeah, they start Josh Oglesby in his place, and that's a shooting guard that's 12 in his last 12 games is 13 of 76. That's just not very good for somebody a pure shooter like Oglesby.
Yeah, not necessarily fulfilling his role. Can't put it solely on his shoulders, though. Iowa really had two different halves. A good defensive first half, only holding Indiana to 26 points. And they only lost the second half by 1 point, but they gave up 47 points to Indiana. So, with that in mind, what can Iowa take out of these games before Illinois on Tuesday night as a positive?
Well, Devin Marble, he's really gaining momentum. He had a sort of a 6-game slump middle of the season, but now he had 18 against Indiana. He's just sort of going into his own. He's becoming the scorer that people really thought he was towards the end of the season.
Personally, Eric May is playing very well right now, the only significant senior on the Iowa basketball team, and he is playing the senior role, making shots when he needs to, clearly making a lot of Big Ten plays. He had a nice up fake, something small to create space on the floor yesterday. It's those type of things that could maybe get Iowa an extra game in the Big Ten tournament, perhaps push them back onto the bubble conversation. Well, that will be it for the Full Court Press this week. We got a couple more weeks coming up before the Hawkeyes are either in the NIT or the NCAA tournament. Ben Ross, Ian Martin, back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, boys. And as Ben and Ian mentioned, there were some bright spots to take away from Saturday's loss, and one of those things, the play of our courtside player of the week, Roy Devin Marble.
That's right, Cody. A week after Aaron White became our first ever back-to-back recipient of the Player of the Week award, junior Roy Devin Marble has put himself in the same category. The Hawks' leading scorer has been balling over the past week, scoring 18 points in a win over Purdue last Wednesday, and pouring in a game high in the Hawks' loss to the Hoosiers last night. The Southfield, Michigan native had struggled coming out of the gate in 2013, but has rebounded in February, scoring 15 or more in 6 straight since the Black and Gold's double overtime loss to Wisconsin to begin the month. In half of those games, the second-generation Hawkeye has hit 20 points or more, including last night in Bloomington, leaving no doubt about this week's Player of the Week.
And before we end tonight's program, some more good news this afternoon for the women's basketball team, which knocked off Northwestern in a Big Ten revenge game 62-45. Bluder's bunch ended the season at 19-11, 8-8 in conference play, and will begin the Big Ten women's basketball tournament this upcoming weekend as the 7th seed. And that's all for here from me for Courtside. Be sure to stay tuned in throughout the week for special in-studio guests and experts phoning in to break down a number of Big Ten championships that are coming up this weekend. That's all for us in the studio. Back to you guys at the desk.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Monday's edition of the Daily Iowan. Read about why Iowa pork is in high demand in the Asian markets.
Plus a profile on the owner of the downtown jewelry store, Hurton & Stalker.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.